By the time I realized they wanted me gone, I was already invisible. No meeting, no warning, no confrontation. Just silence. The kind that settles in quietly, like dust on furniture no one uses anymore. I noticed it first in small things. Emails that used to get replies in minutes now sat unread for days. Meetings were scheduled without me, then summarized later in vague bullet points that meant nothing. My name stopped appearing on documents I had written from scratch. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was tired, overthinking. That's what people like me do. We give the benefit of the doubt until it costs us everything. The truth was simpler. They had decided I was expendable. I worked in a place that liked to describe itself as a family. That should have been the first red flag. Families don't document betrayal. Companies do. I had been there long enough to see how it worked. Promotions weren't about competence. They were about comfort, about who made leadership feel safe, not challenged. And I had made them uncomfortable, not by being loud, not by being aggressive, by being precise. I noticed mistakes others missed. I asked questions that didn't have easy answers. I delivered results without needing applause. That kind of efficiency doesn't inspire gratitude. It inspires fear. Fear that someone might notice. So they did what organizations always do when they want someone gone without liability. They isolated me. My manager stopped scheduling one-on-ones. HR stopped responding unless absolutely necessary. Projects I built were reassigned temporarily and never returned. Still, no one said anything directly. They wanted me to quit, but I didn't. I kept showing up, on time, prepared, calm. And that confused them, because people who are being erased are supposed to panic, to complain, to make mistakes. I did none of that. Instead, I started paying attention. I documented everything, quietly. Dates, changes, inconsistencies, decisions that contradicted written policy, names attached to approvals that never should have passed review. I didn't threaten. I didn't hint. I let them believe I was shrinking. Then came the final move. They assigned me an impossible project, short deadline, no resources, no authority. And when it failed, as it was designed to, they planned to use it as justification. I knew that before the deadline even arrived, so I did something different. I completed it anyway. Not perfectly. Perfect would have exposed them too early. I delivered it just well enough to work and just quietly enough to pass unnoticed. And that annoyed them, because now they couldn't fire me cleanly. That's when they made their mistake. They assumed silence meant ignorance. They didn't know I had already accepted another offer, one they didn't know about, one that didn't require an announcement. I waited. 2 weeks before my departure, I stopped correcting errors that weren't officially mine to fix. I stopped reminding people about deadlines they were paid to track. I stopped compensating for incompetence. The system began to wobble. Nothing dramatic, just small delays, missed handoffs, confusion about ownership. They blamed each other. Then I resigned. No emotion, no speech, just a notice. The panic didn't come immediately. It came 3 days later when they realized no one knew how certain processes actually worked, because I had built them, alone, without documentation, because no one had ever asked. They called, messaged, escalated. I didn't respond. Not out of spite, out of policy. My new role had a non-compete review period. I couldn't consult. That was true. What I didn't tell them was that during my notice period, I had quietly archived my personal work notes, notes that revealed how many teen successes had actually depended on one person compensating for everyone else. Auditors came in 6 months later, not because of me, because systems without accountability eventually collapse. When they did, The questions followed. Who approved this? Why wasn't this reviewed? Why did no one notice? And every answer led back to the same uncomfortable truth. They had silenced the one person who had been paying attention. I heard about it later through someone who used to sit 2 desks away. Promotions were frozen, leadership reshuffled, policies rewritten. No one mentioned my name. They didn't need to. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger requires proximity. I had distance. And distance, I learned, is the most efficient form of revenge. Because when people finally understand what you are holding together, you're already gone.